So hi everybody, I would like to welcome you to our online executive forum. Today we're going to talk about building the future post, why digital transformation is the new business imperative for posts, and I'm glad that you're all with us. This webinar, as the last ones, is organized by the Post Innovation Platform in cooperation with Swiss Post, and we are very happy about our sponsor today, that is Escher Group. Thank you very much again. My name is Bernhard Bukovc. I'm the chairman of the Post Innovation Platform, and I will moderate today's meeting. During the meeting, just a few things at the beginning, as always. During the meeting, please keep your microphone on mute, of course, unless you speak. And of course, you shall speak. You can ask questions. You can join the discussions during the Q&A or at the end when all the discussions also are done, when the Q&A is done. We have a discussion at the very end. You can also ask questions via the chat box, which you can easily identify on your screen. So if you have a question you don't want to ask it personally, just write it in the chat box. We'll look at them regularly and try to pick it up and ask to the speakers. Who are the speakers today? Thank you very much again to you to join us here and share your experience with us. We have Pharand. He's the senior executive of Global Consulting Lead, Postal and Parcel Industry, Accenture. We have Stefan Nemeth. He's the Senior Vice President, Product Management and E-Business of Austrian Post. And we have Kevin Sell and Daniel Starkey, both responsible sales, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. I think we don't waste much more time on introductions and all these kind of things. We jump right into the topic, so that we really have enough time for discussions. This webinar is limited with 1 hour as always, so let's use the time wisely. Andre, you're here, right? And you're ready. Perfect. Andre, maybe unmute. Perfect.
Can you hear me now? All right, let me just share my... Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, everybody. I'm here to talk about some of the key trends, particularly around how to become more digital. What I will have, I'm going to start off with, I guess, 3 setup slides that just give you why digital is important. I'll talk to you about, I guess, the Accenture framework. It's something that we use across all of the different industries, not just postal. And then I'll give you 3 examples of how we apply this, or some of our experience, at least, in the postal industry. So without further ado, let me just kind of get into the content. A couple of slides, as I mentioned, that kind of give you the context. The first one I want to kind of highlight is that we're seeing a lot more volatility in the market. So if you're a postal parcel player, there's no doubt that you've been seeing this, especially as the shift has been moving from B2B to B2C. You can see here just an example. This is data from UPS. You could have a slide here that shows FedEx and just about any other, I guess, integrator that has been historically more B2B. And you can see here basically the difference between the maximum shipments per day versus the average. And you can see that the spread is increasing over the years. That is clearly tied to B2C. And you can see to the right-hand side here some of the numbers that just give you an idea of what, all the disruptive, I guess, events that happen. And what's not on this slide, but I think is on everybody's mind, I see that everybody's kind of in either a basement or in their home office, is COVID. So COVID is also having a major impact on operations. And I guess I bring this up because the more volatility you have, the more you need to have better forecasting, and I'll get to kind of how digital can help with that. The second one is around last mile. So you can see here that, if you're a postal player, most of your last mile is perhaps still very static, meaning you have letter carrier routes. And so there's a less, I guess, of a dynamic component to this, but increasingly, as B2C evolves and more of the parcel, as I guess mail declines and parcel grows on your network, what we're starting to see is a number of different posts reconsidering their last mile model. So the key message here really on this slide is, from static to dynamic. And what that means is that you want to use and leverage all of the digital power that you have available to optimize your routes and to make sure that you have the most efficient network. Because labor, it's hard to lower labor costs, especially in an organized labor situation. So the only tool you have really to do something about this is technology. The third component is really around disruption. And this gives you an example of how fast things are changing. And this gives you an idea that, how long it took to get to 50 million users. So for the airline industry, it took, 68 years. And if you go all the way down to Facebook and Twitter, it took 3 years. And in the case of Pokemon Go, is 19 days. It's an example just to show, that things are getting faster. So the need to go to market, the need to change quickly is extremely important, and the need to adapt is critical. You can see here just the VC funding in our industry, supply chain and logistics, and it's a little bit broader than Postal and Parcel, but nevertheless, you can see that there is tremendous interest and a lot of possible disruption. And you have a couple of examples on the right-hand side of these investments and how fast they are entering the market and changing, I guess, the competitive landscape. So as I mentioned, this is how, I guess, maybe some of the reasons why becoming more digital is important. What we have on this page is a framework of what it means to be digital. I guess in Accenture's mind, all organizations have to become digital organizations. It's not just tied to, say, telcos or Amazons and companies of that nature. It really applies to just about every industry. There's disruption happening no matter where you look. The postal industry and I would say retail combined with that are probably some of the most disrupted. But let me just explain to you what it takes to become, I guess, a digital business. We look at it, I guess, in two ways. One is to digitalize the outside, so coming in with an external focus. This is primarily the customer experience. And then there's digitizing operations. So that's really looking at your internal focus. And then when there's kind of you can go digital or be digital. And then there's also the combination of both is how you apply this to new digital products and services. So one is perhaps more channel-based, and number two is more product-based. So what it means, if you look at 1, 2, and 3 in sequence, it's the digitizing the customer experience, extremely important. You can think about track and trace as a good example of an early start. But it's beyond that. It's really having and increasingly nowadays helping customers manage their preferences, especially around on the recipient side, and also for senders and recipients getting a 360 view of the interactions. The second example is developing new products and services, and I guess the question here is how can digital really impact products in the physical world? And so the idea here is not to replace existing. I mean, all our products in Postal, most of them at least, are physical in nature, unless we get Star Trek abilities to port things from one place to the other. So the question is really, how do we add value through digital? And I'll show you an example. And then the final one is around digitizing operations. So back to the examples earlier, and I think this is where we've seen the most added value from digital, is really how to streamline operations, how to become more agile. And here you can see a couple of examples of improving forecasting or maximizing automation, standardization, getting insights, using analytics to help reduce some of the issues that happen in operations, so really more of an advanced troubleshooting, and so on and so forth. So just to give you a couple of examples of what I've just talked about, the first example is recipients and using digital, I guess, here to establish a relationship. So most posts do not have a direct relationship with their recipients, and the idea here is to use digital and as a channel, but also to capture additional information, including preferences, and essentially use this to create a relationship with the recipients. We typically always tend to focus on who pays, but recipients increasingly are important as they drive a lot of the volume that comes through the B2C channel. You can see on the left-hand side here an example of UPS, where in the past you'd know when you get a window of delivery. Now you're getting not only a delivery window, but also you can actually monitor your package as it arrives towards your house. So you see two little icons here. One's my house and one is a UPS truck on its way. The second example relates to number 2. So how do you add value to a physical product? The example here is USPS. They have a product called Informed Delivery. And what it does, it's pretty basic, but I can tell you as a user, it adds a tremendous amount of value. Essentially what this is you get images of your mail before it actually arrives in your mailbox or your PO box. So you know exactly what to expect. And then on top of that, now the benefit here is that the actual return on investment for direct mail, when it's associated with this informed delivery, goes up tremendously. The open rate is extremely high. Satisfaction from customers, it went from pilot mode, now it's fully deployed. And increasingly now what you're seeing are digital campaigns attached to a letter. So for example, you get a physical piece of letter from Amex, and Amex will send all of the digital information to USPS. And so when you actually see the piece of mail from Amex, American Express, you actually get also a clickable item. So there's an ability to provide interactive, component to the email that you get if you're interested in the offer. The third example is using digital and analytics to lower your operational costs and to do additional simulations to answer questions. This is perhaps more a long-term view, like how can I modernize or streamline my network? And what we have here are screenshots of a project we did where we conducted a digital twin simulation of existing operations, and the question we were asked is it possible for us to go from multiple facilities to one single sortation facility? And this helped us visualize what it would take, what are some of the pros and cons, whether it was even feasible altogether from a volume perspective, and finally, what it would mean in terms of the distribution centers and the impact on the entire rest of the network. That's a long-term view. You can also use digital to improve your forecasting capabilities, so you have better view of demand and also then scheduling labor. We've also done projects like that. So just to summarize, that's what I had to say. I'll keep it short and hand it over to you back, Bernhard. So I hope you appreciated these examples. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andre. That's really a very great overview. Now, you have shown basically those 3 layers. You have shown the digitization with regard to the customer. Then there are the products, and finally it's the internal layer, the operations, the digital twin. Now, if you talk to a postal operator and would propose a way forward, to propose how to start the digital transformation, I mean, I guess from an importance or from the point of view of relevance for the organization, all 3 of them are relevant. But is there any of these layers where you and get this done? What would you say?
Well, my answer is, I guess as a consultant, it depends.
Thank you very much for that. Yes.
No, but seriously, it really depends where the post is. In some cases, they may be struggling with just capacity issues, and really, and so operations might be, I guess, the first place to look at. In other places, if some places, direct mail. I'm thinking about emerging countries where for a post it's not even on the radar screen. So a product like informed delivery or something similar to that might not be even, in the realm of possibilities. But for what I would, and it also depends also if the post is really struggling to connect with recipients and trying to grow, I guess, e-commerce in a different way, that might be the angle to come in. We've done also some research that can quantify, I guess, what it takes or what are the benefits of becoming fully digital. And that's where I say most of the benefits we've seen are more on the cost takeout side than on the revenue growth. Having said that, I know that if the informed delivery example here, if you apply it to some of the, say, industrialized countries where direct mail is important and mail still represents a fair amount of the revenue, then it would be worthwhile because the example in informed delivery, you can do that without much investment. It's not as if you have to rethink your entire operations there. It's just adding a camera on your sortation machines and sending that out, and make sure you synchronize the images with the delivery dates. So not too complicated, not too difficult to implement. And I know that other posts are looking at this. So I don't know if that answers your question, but if it was up to me, I would say probably the way to go is probably looking at operations first. But it really, again, depends on the angle and the preferences that a post has. When you jump into a post, they may be in different stages of their journey, and it could be that depending on leadership and everything, that the focus might be more on the customer and might be more on rebranding, might be more on operational efficiency.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. We'll continue the discussion a little bit later. In the meanwhile, we move on. Stefan, you are there, right?
Yes, hello.
Perfect. And you're ready. Please take over.
So thank you, Bernhard. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So let's start. I'm actually on the product side from the digitalization, but it was a very interesting keynote, Andre. And to your question, Bernhard, I think processes or products or anything else should be parallel to digitalize, and there is no preferred. It's my experience I had the last 10 years by the Austrian Post. And as I got my the philately in my responsibility 4 years ago, I told our CEO I would do that, but we have to think new ways in the philately. How could be the future with digitalization? How is it possible to get new collectors? And how do we change our business that it's fit for the future? And there were many of ideas, and many ideas wasn't successful. But with the crypto stamp, we have a very big success. And that's we have thought that philately would be synonymous for digital innovation. And actually, I can say to you, yes, it is. And that's what I will show you with our concept from the crypto stamp. So last year, we started with crypto stamp 1.0. In June 2019, the online shop crashed. We printed 150,000 stamps. We were sold out in every channel in 2 weeks. The national and international press was impressive. And most of the stamps, the red ones, are sold for more than 2,000 euros in the second market. So that was amazing. We were the heroes of the crypto scene. We were in top 3 of the biggest crypto platform called OpenSea, with more than 10 million euro market capitalization. So that was amazing. And that was the reason why this year we started with CryptoStamp 2.0. And now I will show you the concept of CryptoStamp 2.0, the strategic evolution. So a lot we have learned from CryptoStamp 1.0, that a better environment. So the CryptoStamp 2.0 was printed on paper, not on plastic. The advanced safety features, we had a safety film instead of scratch off field. That was more safety. The stamp was in a blister packaged, and the product innovation was that water activated backing replaced self-achieves. And the most important thing was last year the CryptoStamp 1.0 was in the official definitive special stamp program. And this year we started a new category. It's called crypto stamps. And that's important because many old collectors are in the left down corner with special stamps. So they are collecting special stamps. And if they get too much of the new crypto stamps, then they are afraid and leave us as collector. And so we started a new program with a digital issue, and this was very successful this year. So the next crypto stamp hype we had, the crypto stamp was 700 euro cents. We printed 60,000 pieces per animal. So total, we had 240,000 crypto stamps this year with 4 different animals. And the meaning of the animals is one of them, the Doge. And the Doge relates to an internet phenomenon established in 2013, featuring a Shiba. Yes?
Just a short brief interruption here. We just see the title slide. I don't know whether you intend to stay on that slide or whether you're talking about another slide already.
Oh, I'm on slide 5.
Ah, now we see it. That's good.
Okay.
No, sorry. Just I didn't want to interrupt, but I thought you.
Can you see it now?
Yes, we see now slide number 5. Yes, but before it was really just the title slide.
And now can you see the next slide or not?
No, 5 still. 4 new crypto animals.
Okay, then I have to go back.
Maybe you go to on the presentation mode. If you go to the presentation mode and click forward.
Yeah.
Try that.
Now you can see. Now you can see the presentation, or?
I can see the second.
Yeah. Okay.
Slide number 2.
Okay. Sorry, I don't know, but.
Now I think it's presentation mode. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I leave it again to you, please.
So now we are on slide 5. The Doge, the internet phenomenon. I told you the next is our honey badger. It's founded in certain parts of Africa and has been named the world's bravest creature. She's known to attack far larger predators, and it's exceptionally thaw. The small but fearless honey badger is associated with Bitcoin Cash. That's a kind of cryptocurrency, the fourth largest in the world. So you can see all our animals are combined with any blockchain and internet phenomenon, also the llama. It was the first video with Bitcoin wool socks from Massachusetts. So you can't buy wool socks with Bitcoins, and there was a video. This goes viral with YouTube, and over 8 million people saw it. And the last one is the panda. It's the animal for traders from the Asia Pacific region. So that's why we decided these four animals. So what was new this year? We have started the hunt for the golden unicorn, and we had more gamification as last year. So last year you buy it, you bought it, and you collected it, but there was no gamification. And this year we had a gamification. Last year you had these 5 different colors in your digital twin. That was black, green, blue, yellow, or red. And this year you had a feature like merging, so you can merge 3 black ones in 1 green one, and you can create online collections. If you create online collections, then you collect games and achievements, and that was the gamification. Here you can see on the next slide the different achievements you can get if you have a collection with different crypto stamps. And the biggest one was the hunt of the golden unicorn, and there we had a special edition with 1,000 of golden unicorn stamps. And we sold them each at 500 euro. So that's really much for a stamp. And the half of the 1,000, so 500, we played for a hunting game for free, and 500 we sold. And the 500 we sold was sold out in 17 minutes in our online shop. So 500 golden unicorn stamps in 17 minutes per piece at 500 euro. That was amazing for us. And at the end, we had 1 golden unicorn stamp with 20 gram gold, and there was a winner who got this last one golden stamp. Okay, so I think I'm on the end. Last message, that was so successful that we got the Guinness World Record for the most expensive stamp, digital stamp. And that was also a big success. You can read it in the next days because our press information is going out, I think, end of this week. And then you can read in many newspapers that we got the Guinness World Records. Okay, thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. Again, I love it. I love the crypto stuff because I mean, you know, a few years ago, nobody would have thought you can really make good money with stamps, and it was considered well the old-fashioned post license, you know. But today you have some posts, not many, make really good money and sell stamps at incredible prices, and they sell out in 17 minutes or so. I mean, that's incredible. Law of the market, you know, the next. Crypto stamp 3.0 shall go out, I don't know, for 5,000 euros or 10,000 euros. But I mean, since you're here, and I've read about one of your other stamps. I have to bring it up. Sorry, Stefan. It's less about digital. I think it's more about innovative.
It's physical.
It's physical. You have a new stamp, right? And this is very peculiar because it's on toilet paper.
Yes.
You want to say one or two words on that? It's just
just to the crypto stamp. Our turnover this year was 2 million euro in round about 4 weeks. That's amazing for stamps. If any other postal organization in this call or of the world wants also crypto stamps, then please contact me, because we have a white label solution. You get a fixed system of crypto stamp for your own country, so it's no problem. Please contact me if you're interested. The new stamp we launched last week is our toilet paper stamp, our Corona stamp. It's so funny and amazing. We printed our baby elephant. It's the symbol for distancing 1 meter on a toilet paper, because in Austria, I don't know if it's also in other countries, but as the Corona crisis started in March this year, many Austrians went to the supermarket to buy toilet paper, and it was sold out. So in March, you can't get any toilet paper, and that was a really big crisis, more than Corona. And that's why we printed now a stamp on toilet paper, and we did 300,000 pieces, and I think we will be sold out in a few weeks.
perfect. Thank you very much, Stefan. We come back to these points, some of these points during our discussion. But before that, we have our last presentation, and the last presentation is from Kevin Sell of Escher Group. He has pre-recorded this because he cannot be with us. But Daniel Starkey of Escher Group will then be with us to discuss in a bit more details. So let me now quickly go to my share video, and I can play you the presentation. And here it starts. No more.
Hello. Just want to. So I want to.
Didn't start. I think you can see it yet, right?
Yeah, we can see it, Bernhard.
You can see the presentation already? Okay. On my test screen, I don't see it yet. That's why I was hesitant. It's opening here. Okay, starting it.
So I want. Hello. Just want to take a few minutes today to talk to you about digital transformation. And in particular, I want to look at the impact it will have on our customers and the journeys we'll be asking them to undertake in the future. So I want to dive right in and start to look at the impact that these journeys will have on our customers. And I think it's clear they're going to split into two groups. So we're going to have our digital customers, our early adopters, and we're going to have our non-digital customers. I think for the first group, the digital customers, the changes are going to be relatively easy. They'll adopt to them very quickly. However, I think what we've got on the other side is customers who still want to carry out transactions in the traditional way. They want to come into the post office with their parcel, they want to deal with a human being, and they want to have somebody else carry out the transaction on their behalf. So I want to come back to that group shortly, but let's look more closely at the digital customers, their preferences, and what they want from Post. So I want to start by really looking at these early adopters, these digital customers, who of course they gravitate towards digital first and self-service options wherever they can. And with them, there's a real preference for quick, efficient and frictionless service, because what they really value is their time. So the service options have to be convenient. As an example, they'll only really want to drop off a parcel if it fits into one of their existing journeys, like getting petrol or groceries or on their way to work or on their way home from work. And everything for them has to be incredibly simple. If a digital customer does need to visit a physical post office, the experience has to be a simple one. And when they get there, they only want to visit the counter if it's absolutely necessary, for example, to scan a parcel that's ready for delivery. In most cases, what they'll do is they'll simply choose the self-serve options if they can. So let's have a look at what a great customer journey might look like for our digital savvy customers. Typically, they're going to go on to a local shipping aggregator, or they might come onto your website. And when they get there, what they want to do is enter all the details they need to in order to get that parcel moving. So they'll enter the address it's going to, return address, any customs details, and they'll make any payment that's required as well. And what they want is that information stored in a way so that they can continue a digital journey as much as possible when they get to the post office. So typically what would happen is that would all be stored onto a QR code onto their mobile device, which they could then take with them and the parcel to the post office. And of course, what they'll do is they'll only visit the post office, the nearest post office, as I say, when it's convenient to them. So perhaps on their journey to work or their journey home from work. And when they get there, they're probably going to head to the self-serve options instinctively. That's probably going to be some form of kiosk. And when they get there, they will simply scan that delivery code, that barcode or QR code that was generated when they entered all the details into the system themselves. Then scanning that QR code would allow all the labels and stamps that they need to complete the journey to be printed, and then they can attach those to the parcel themselves. Then ideally what they want to do is go to the nearest parcel kiosk, put the parcel inside or have a drop box of some sort, and as a last resort they might go to the counter to drop off that parcel. At the end of that, we have a very happy customer. They've managed to pretty much do the whole journey themselves. Later on, they get a SMS text message to confirm that the parcel's been delivered to its location 100 miles away. And in that location, we've got a very happy customer who's been told to go to a parcel locker, a smart locker. They've retrieved their parcel, they've taken it home, and they're very happy with the service. So I think what we're going to find is that digital customers are going to really define their own journeys. They're going to opt to start the transaction online from their laptop or probably from their mobile device, such as their phone. And they'll only really want to visit a physical location when they have to drop off or pick up a parcel. So part of the digital transformation process has to be about convenience and accessibility, making sure we provide as many physical locations for them to use as possible. And to help that, Escher's recently released a universal EPOS solution, which can integrate the postal system onto a retailer's existing till, and a post office on-demand product. These make it incredibly easy and cost-effective to expand your network and to get your post services into more grocery stores, convenience stores, petrol stations, and even in shopping malls as pop-up post office locations during busy times and holidays such as Christmas. We also need to reimagine the role of some physical channels like self-service kiosks, because I don't think it's going to be acceptable in the future to expect a customer to go in and carry out a complete end-to-end journey on a self-serve kiosk. I think instead what they'll typically do, as I mentioned earlier, is go in and either scan a parcel to complete a journey or scan a QR code from their phone to continue and complete a journey that they started online themselves. And that means that they can then print out the labels they need to complete the journey, put them on the parcel, and then simply hand the parcel over or put it into a locker box of some sort. As we continue our digital transformation, I think one of the things we've really got to be careful of is as we get more and more customers to self-serve and carry out a digital transaction, then we have expensive legacy systems left on our counters, which increasingly are serving less and less customers. And what that means is that incrementally the cost of each of those customers is increasing. So how do we serve those customers going forward? Well, I think we have to be quite creative and innovative in our offering. And it might be as simple as actually focusing on the digital channels. And for those who don't want to do digital, we simply have a human assistance in branch, or we have some form of guided support. And what that means is actually those customers who don't want to do digital initially will start to be coached and educated and may start to see the benefits of doing those digital journeys and transacting them. And what that means is we can start to reduce the duplication of costs that we have with the expensive legacy systems on the counter. So digital transformation is absolutely essential, and it's definitely here to stay. But if it's really going to be successful, what we've got to do is make sure it's as convenient and accessible as is possible for our customers, which means more locations, our networks, and being able to expand them quickly and easily. And I think the final thing is that we've got to make those interactions and services as simple as possible for our customers to use. And what we mustn't forget in all of this is our non-digital customers. And as I've said, what we might need to consider is giving full service support when needed when those customers come into our branches. And what that means is we start to educate those customers on the digital journeys, and they will see the benefits of serving themselves going forward. And what it means is we can start to look at the stranded cost that we've got in branch for our IT and start to remove that duplication of cost. So thank you for your time today. I'm happy to take any questions. My email address is on the screen, and if you'd like to further explore anything we've discussed today, then please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm back here, and as I said before, that was Kevin Sell of Escher Group who made this presentation, but he cannot be with us here today. However, Daniel is with us, and he will be here from Escher Group to answer any questions that come up. Let me ask general questions to all three speakers. And Daniel, maybe I start with you since I just introduced you as well. When we look at airlines and the airports in particular now, some airlines have completely changed their approach to how you check in. Meaning you come to an area at the airport. In this area, you have all these kiosks. You get your boarding pass there. You get your sticker there for the luggage. You put the sticker on the luggage, and you go to the belt and put it there. The only personnel, the ground staff that's there, is not really behind the counter. It's somewhere there in the middle and assisting those people that don't really figure out so far how the system works. So they are just helping stuff. And Kevin talked a lot, and we heard it also in the other presentations, about those self-service equipment, the trend to have self-service facilities. Is this maybe how the future post will look like, that we have those self-service areas, and if there is any postal staff, at least in the beginning, it's just there to help? Is this how we can envisage it, or what do you think, Daniel?
Thank you, Bernhard, for the question. I mean, I think that's absolutely possible. I mean, the technology's there, like you said, in the airports. This is something that's been used now for many years, and there seems to be a very high acceptance from the general public. I think one thing that we have to probably remember, though, is that the people that are able to afford to go to airports is not every single citizen in every single country. You know, on the flip side, Post has an obligation to serve every single citizen in the country, from old to young, wealthy to not so wealthy. And every post is at a different stage of their development. And I think this development also varies greatly across the world and even in specific regions. So, for example, Europe, where I spend most of my time, there are significant differences in the post's ability to react to market changes or that they have to innovate, and how accepting the public might be to that innovation. So I do think that there are some regions of the world where that is absolutely something that that we could see a future in, and in some regions sooner than others?
Thank you. Stefan, you're, beside philately, you are responsible for e-business in Austria Post and also for the outlets, the network, and these kind of questions. How do you see that? Is that the future post, one that is based on self-service and digitalization?
Yes, I'm sure that it is. So I'm also responsible for our self-service zones in Austria. And we see that actually the last 10 years, so we started 2011 with the first self-service zone in Austria with 0 customers, and actually we have more than 13 million transactions in our self-service zones. These are 15% of all our transactions in the branch network, and it's growing up every year. Actually, we designed a new sending machine, which is fully automatically with a lot of sensoric, where customers can find the right tariff for sending. It's very easy to use, and with this one, we will grow up with the self-service transactions up to 50%. I think it's the future, and it would be standard in the future.
Mm-hmm. Andre, I pass the question on to you. What do you think?
That's an interesting one, self-service, because all our research indicates that people prefer getting delivery to the home, including countries like China, where the adoption rate for innovative delivery alternatives is high. But I think when I look at the numbers, and especially with mail volumes declining, it's increasingly hard to do or to justify alone the cost of parcel delivery, or to kind of share the cost with mail, and carrying the burden increasingly, especially for many of the posts that are, unionized, means that the costs are relatively higher than most of the competition. I think inevitably, and I don't like saying this, I think inevitably we're going to head towards more of a parcel locker type world, where you do have more deliveries delivered there, and not only as a secondary alternative to home delivery, but maybe as a primary, and then home delivery might eventually become more of a premium product. Who knows? What's driving that are just the economics, because home delivery, the average drop density is maybe 1.1. Maybe if you kind of have a teenager or big household and everybody orders online, you might get 2 parcels a day from the same carrier, but it's still low. And doing a stop at a door versus a stop at a parcel locker, there's just no comparison in terms of the efficiencies you gain. So that would be, I guess, my prediction. How fast, it really depends on each post, because I've also seen or heard of situations where some posts do adopt or try to get into parcel lockers, and for some reason the adoption rate is just not there. It doesn't work. And again, there it depends on perhaps some of the conditions in each country, urban setting, public transportation, where the parcel lockers are located, even level of vandalism when you think about it, because it's in some countries you might not be able to leave parcel lockers unmanned or how would I say, without any supervision. So those, I guess, are some of the conditions that I'm seeing out there. But I think ultimately we're heading towards that self-serve there and self-serve in the retail locations as well.
I know you said there's something, one word was adoption. I mean, with digital transformation and more digital services, of course, the objective is that as many people as possible use those kind of services. How can we encourage adoption? is there a way how that can be encouraged? Okay, there's the security reasons that you mentioned, but in principle, in general.
Well, pricing, you might influence behavior by offering, it'll be free delivery to the parcel locker, an extra $2 or whatever to the home. That might be one way of offsetting and to drive behavior. That might be the most effective one, I would say. Or you might not give them a choice. This is how, but then, that's where competition comes in and say, no, we offer home delivery. So you got to be careful, I guess. It's, I guess that's an interesting one. But pricing would probably be the biggest lever you have. Maybe the environmental component as well, where you can offset your carbon footprint, or, it's better for the environment, and therefore that might resonate with some of your segments as well.
Okay. Daniel,
Yeah,
what is your view on encouragement?
I think, Andre, you're looking very, closely at the last mile, the bit about receiving things from the post. But obviously, as users of the post, we want to be able to do the first mile piece as well, right? We want to be able to frank our parcels, send our letters, interact with the post, not just in terms of what we've ordered and receiving at home. So, I mean, as far as adoption of these digital services, which are becoming ever more prevalent. I think first off, the post need to know who their customer base are, or who the general public are, and I have no doubt that the posts do know that better than anybody else, right? And so you would expect that when new products and services or digital services are implemented, they're not implementing solutions on a whim that haven't been tried and tested with a cross section of their customers already. I mean, we see, for example, in Scandinavia, extremely digital, cashless, etc., and so forth, and there are other parts of the world which maybe aren't so accepting of such innovations. And I do think that innovating just for innovation's sake, or just because it's possible to innovate, just because it's possible to have an app, or it's possible to do things digitally, it doesn't mean that you have to. And I think depending on where you're based, what your demographics are, it's fairly dangerous, could possibly result in low adoption.
Stefan, how do you encourage your customers to adopt your digital products or services?
Yeah, so one point to Andre, actually in Austria, I don't know how in other countries, but there the big ones are paying for the parcels like Amazon and so on. And they would have the service from the last mile. So they would have that people get their parcel as soon as possible at home. And they don't want that people pay. Therefore, they would have it for free. And our prices for Amazon are very less. Also for other big companies. And I don't guess that it would be more cheaper than actually. Maybe we could be more expensive for delivering at home, but I don't think so. I think we should be open-minded for the customers. Sometimes, for example, in the Corona lockdown, nobody wants to go to a branch network or to a self-service zone. People were at home, and they want that their parcels go to their home and not in a self-service zone. And some other customers who are working, maybe they want it in a self-service zone. So we have different opportunities for different customers. And I think that's the way for the future. And any customer can have their own solution for his life. yeah, where he or she is.
Mhm.
And we should have different solutions for them. There is not one solution.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else who wants to add something on that point? I mean, another point is when you talk about digital transformation, this is always one of the biggest challenges when you hear some posts, of course, any organization, not just posts, that want to introduce new digital services or change things the way they did before. I mean, posts, as any large organizations, have large and complex legacy IT systems. Is there anything that we can say, how can that be overcome? How can that be mastered? Is there some success clue to that? How we can cope with this challenge, for example? Andre, you have seen many posts, and I think you've seen many challenges in different kinds of posts with regard to the IT systems, right?
I would say that those are two separate things to a certain extent. I would say dealing with, I guess, legacy systems that cause or make your business more at risk because it's systems are becoming unstable, or you're getting increasingly long periods where your operations are offline because of issues with IT. That's one thing. I think getting into digital and I guess driving, for example, analytics and just at least initiating that journey does not require that you absolutely have to reinvent the entire IT system. You can put a layer on top, and so that's why I say you can probably separate the two. I mean, if you have a legacy IT issues, that's irrespective of whether you're going digital or not, that has to be addressed, where you want to put more of your funding, especially your IT funding, on the future, not on the past, and just maintaining these large systems. So I think every post, there's a moment where they kind of have to assess each system, and sometimes these systems become multiple systems over the years because you add on and on and on, and you have to kind of set the bar or kind of bring it down back to zero and rethink everything from scratch. So I guess to summarize, digital transformation roadmap should not depend on your existing IT legacy systems.
Okay. Daniel, I mean, you are all the time confronted with postal IT systems. How do you see the challenge?
Yeah, I actually agree with what Andre is saying. I mean, I certainly believe that irrespective of what is at the moment, what is currently powering the Post network, I think the Post needs to be very clear on the reasons why going digital is so important for the Post. So what challenges are they trying to address, and subsequently what benefits does the organization stand to derive from that investment? I think the challenges presented by the legacy solutions that you talked about there are I think in large part to do with a fact that I've seen over the past number of years working with several posts in Europe, is that a lot of the solutions that were implemented, some say between 10 and 20 years ago, are proprietary systems, which, as Andre was saying, have been further developed, bolted on because there have been new products and services, and these have become kind of unwieldy, massive machines which take a lot of effort to look after. And so I do think that, alongside understanding what do the customers want, how can we serve our customers better, identifying what are the priorities as far as going digital is concerned, there should be a consideration of moving to standardized software away from proprietary, where the Post is completely responsible for all innovation and moving the software on, versus standardized software where there is consistent updates, new version implementation to help the Post stay on top of current trends and to be able to meet the digitalization needs that they have on their roadmaps.
Thank you very much, Daniel. It's 3 o'clock and the 1 hour is over. I mean, it's an extremely interesting topic where we could go on, of course, for a long time. If you want to get in touch with any of the speakers or with anybody else who was here on the call, please let me just know. I'm happy to connect people, of course. Some very brief announcement at the end here. join also our next online executive forum that will be on the 17th of November, so in 3 weeks from now, where we're going to talk about circular economy and well, it's a lot about packaging, parcels, or rather not parcel and packaging, but different kinds of delivery. Extremely interesting. We are also planning, I just announced it here, even though we don't have the exact dates yet, but our startup competition will take place end of January. We are now really fine-tuning here to identify the right and best dates. It's going to be announced very soon. Again, thank you very much to all the speakers. It was really amazing to have you on board today. It was excellent presentations. Thank you very much for sharing your views, your insights, your experience. And at the very last, you can watch our webinar again and again and again, of course. We'll publish it on YouTube. By tomorrow, it should be up there, and so you can go back to the presentations. But again, if you want to get in touch with anybody or want to get some further information on something, please don't hesitate and contact me. I'm happy to help you as well. So see you next time in 3 weeks. Thank you very much to the speakers, to the participants, and have a good day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you.